Hey everybody. It's been a while since I've made a video. Haven't really felt like making a video. That, and for the most part, I've just been spending like 9 out of 10 of my free hours stuck on my ass playing Rust. Might as well since I'm stuck inside anyway due to the pandemic. But uh, then again, I never really left the house much, even when there wasn't a pandemic happening. So yeah, everybody else is pissed off because of the whole stay-at-home orders, especially with it being Alabama and nobody really abiding by them anyway, and basically being complete and utter fucking retards. Yeah, I said it because they they identify any orders by any authority as being an impingement upon their freedom or whatever, and oh well, why should I have to freedom, freedom, freedom? Yeah, they put the dumb in freedom, don't they? Yeah, I never thought personally. I didn't think the Tea Party 2.0 could ever be dumber than the original Tea Party, but um, these people they take it as a challenge, and they just said challenge accepted. So whatever. So um, uh, I should have made a video about what I'm about the subject matter I'm about to talk about weeks ago, but I just haven't felt like it. But I think it needs to be talked about now. I don't know. I just feel I just I've just gotten so fed up with all the shit that's being thrown at people, at progressives and leftists by centrists and by progressives who just want to kowtow and bend the knee. That I just I feel like I just have to make this video. Now, I'm saying this as somebody who has left the Democratic Party after 15 years of being involved in Democratic politics, off and on, of course, but still. I mean, I gave $1,000 to Bernie Sanders' campaign over the course of the last 16 months, and a part of me just wants to march right into the DNC with a machete and chop both of Tom Perez's legs off and donate them on the black market for organ money. But you know, what can I say? I'm not going to waste the gas on that piece of shit. And based on what I've seen, he typically surrounds himself with like 4 to 8 thugs at any given time, and I never get a chance to get close enough to him. But there's an old saying: "You fuck with my money, I'm gonna fuck you up." Well, that son of a bitch definitely fucked with my money when he pulled all of his shenanigans. And I'd have to say that every one of us who supported Bernie Sanders, who gave to his campaign, and did everything we could to get this man elected, who took time out of our real lives and spent money that we didn't have to spend, given what Tom Perez, David Brock, Pete Buttigieg, and the others have done to us to effectively send the message that they don't want our input, they just want our vote, and that we better shut up and just do what we're told. I just I I just it really fucking just gets in my, just it just works its way into my craw every time I see someone on the left finally just cave in and say, oh yeah, I'll vote for Biden," after enough of these old fucks on social media have dogpiled on them and worn them down. And I guess that was the whole plan all along. Just continuously bombard millennials and Gen X and Gen Z with vote shaming until we eventually just cave in and just bite the bullet and give give Biden our vote in November. But here's the thing, though. I understand how that approach works. It's called the foot in the door approach. You'll learn about it in social psychology, and I'm not going to let it work. I mean, when I talk to when I have a discussion, well, when I'm talking about politics with friends offline, and I have a few of them, not naming any names, who keep trying to sort of edge me in that direction toward voting for Biden after all the shit that was done, trying to use every fucking rationalization that they can. I tune that rationalization shit out because I know what they're doing. You know, the whole foot in the door thing, it's largely an admission on their part that they have no respect for my personal agency as a leftist. They have no respect for my views. They don't care about my self determination as a left wing voter or even an activist. I'm just a useful vote, just a soldier to be commanded, and they think that they're somehow these fucking generals in a larger war, even though they've given the GOP every single thing they've that the GOP want. I mean, hell, Third Way is funded by Charles Koch, the guy who funded the fucking Tea Party. He quite Charles Koch committed to the idea of backing Democratic candidates as a way of undercutting the left's attempt at trying to get into the Democratic Party, at trying to take over the Democratic Party through Justice Democrats, and the his commitment to this coincided with the renewed efforts by the DCCC at preventing progressive primary challengers from being able to make headway. Now, that's not to say I won't give money to Justice Democrats, Brand New Congress, and other groups like Our Revolution. I will, but I'm not under the I'm not under the impression that these groups cannot be infiltrated either. And I'm under no impression that these people are absolutely just that they're somehow these ironclad bastions of truth. You know, I mean, AOC, her shifting from primary challenging, or should I say, supporting primary challengers against sitting conservative Democrats to just supporting primary challengers in open elections. Her concessions to the Democratic Party's leadership after they started threatening her with primary challenges, that to me that basically said that this person is being every bit as weak as it pains me to say that about AOC because she still stands up, she's still a fighter, but just how many guns does she have to have pointed to her head to get her to say that? And seeing all these primary challengers being propped up by the DNC against these progressive icons, they're trying to quash us. They because now that they have their consultant venue blacklist, and they're utilizing their red to blue program, and they even have a red to blue program equivalent in the U.S. Senate races that Chuck Schumer is spearheading, as a way of undercutting progressives. Wherein if the progressive challenger manages to win manages to win the primaries, that they will subtly try to aid the Republican in winning the general. So the Democratic Party, they're done as a force. They are absolutely done for. They're dead to progressives. And the only reason many of these same progressives want to stick with the Democratic Party is because they still believe in all that bullshit about them being the only game in town. Which, again, they wouldn't be the only game in town if we got our heads out of our asses and actually did something to build a new party. That's all we got to do. It's not that hard. Ballot access restrictions are not as bad today in many ways as they were back in the 19th century and the early 20th century. And even then, back in the late 19th and 20th century, early 20th century, you still had groups like the Greenback Party, the Populist Party, and the Socialist Party of Eugene Debs. Those parties still did well enough that hell, even the Populist Party almost became a third major party itself during the 19th century. And that was when the Democratic Party and the Republican Party were even worse about their ballot access restrictions and penalizing third parties. So you can't make that excuse. You can't fall back on that. If there's one thing that these people who keep on trying to fall back on the whole, well, where else are we going to go? Or, oh, that'll split the ticket. Oh, it'll help Republicans win. Wah. What I'm really hearing is I'm too lazy to do the work of building a new party, and I would rather use an existing template because I'm too fucking unoriginal to make something new. That's all I'm hearing. People, it's this whole I'm a lazy first world person from an industrialized nation is used to living a sedentary lifestyle, and I don't have the vigor or the energy or the willingness to do anything new because I'm intellectually fucking lazy. That's all I'm hearing when I hear these people throw around all these rationalizations for why they want to stick with a party that never really cared about them to begin with. I mean, what else you gonna do? I mean, what do you got to lose just by doing something new? I mean, Hunter or how or God, just what am I trying to say here? The Green Party isn't perfect. I've made criticisms about the Green Party before, but they are far more susceptible to being taken over than the Democrats. And there are signs, real signs that third parties on the left are actually coalescing together and are starting to form their own coalition. To me, this is an opportunity to try something different. I mean, where would ask yourselves this? If you're a younger person, ask yourself this: where would Sony be if they didn't set out on their own and try something different after Nintendo basically scrapped their idea of creating an add-on for the Super Nintendo back in the 90s? Oh, we wouldn't have PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, or PlayStation 4. Uh, where would okay, just I'm just that's just one example. I'm sure there are plenty more, but I can't think. But I'm just saying that sticking to the same thing indefinitely. There's an old saying that just because things are the way they are does not mean that is the way things will always be. Even if things are going good, that doesn't mean change won't ever happen. We can't we can't just sit back and and hesitate when there is a real opportunity to push for a new third way in American politics that has nothing to do with the two parties. And don't give me any of that bullshit about, oh, the two parties. There's no way we'll ever get rid of one of them. Fuck that shit. The Whig Party collapsed, and the Republican Party took its place. The Republican Party is living proof, albeit bad living proof, that a third party can rise up and supplant a major party. So again, we really have no excuse by this point. And to those people who want to say, "Oh well, the Supreme Court," yeah, I'm doing the voice. You know, I got to make fun of these people's intelligence. Okay, this bullshit about, oh, we have to do it for the Supreme Court when we've already lost the Supreme Court. The conservatives have a 5 to 4 majority on it, and the remaining liberals are not reliable on economic issues. They're just not. Hell, liberals are right wingers anyway. So you can't. It's not really dividing the left. We've already lost. It's just. And to those people who say, oh, well, we need to make sure that we don't lose the Supreme Court for the next 100 years, I say the Republicans only need 10 years to get everything they want. 10 years of having one court challenge after another. And they've already got a majority and they can already get most of what they want anyway. So you're not stopping them. But we just we've got to try something new. We've got to branch out. We've got to stop being so one dimensional in our way of thinking. To we have to start going beyond our normal generic way of doing things. We can't. The Democratic Party, they haven't been our allies since at least the 1960s, the early 1960s. Okay, this is everything that's happened since the 1968 presidential Democratic convention. It's just been one bad defeat for the left after another, and they have fallen back on the whole, where else you gonna go? Where else you gonna go? But the same people who say where else you gonna go are the same people who tell us, well, don't go and form a third party yet. Wait until next time. Wait until next time. Wait, every year it's the same damn thing. Oh, you want to form a new party? Wait until we've beaten Ronald Reagan. Then years later, it's, oh, you want to go form a third party? Wait till we beat George Bush. Wait until then. Then another 10 years later, oh well, you want to you want to form a new party? That's not the right time to do it. Wait until after we beat Trump. It's never the right time with these people because they don't intend for there to be a right time. They never intended for there to be a right time because most of them are arguing in bad faith. They don't want anyone to leave because they themselves have an emotional attachment to the Democratic Party, or they're sheep herding for the Democratic Party. It's a fucking team sport for them. They don't want the left to have agency. They don't want the left to have proper representation in government. They don't want us to have anything. They don't want us to have a say in the way that our country is run. They want us to sit down, shut up, and be good little boys. They want us to sit down. They want us to sit down. They want us to shut the fuck up and do as we're fucking told. But they have no way of actually making us do it. So what do? Oh, they fall back on guilting the shit out of us. Guilting us, shaming us, as if that shit's gonna work on somebody who's had that shit used on him since the day he came into this world. I'm just like, who the fuck are you fuckers kidding? You can't guilt me. You can't fucking guilt me. You can't try to appeal to me by using shame as a weapon. You guys don't even fucking know me. And as for all these people who keep saying, oh, you lefties, you damn youngins are going to cost us everything. These people are not our allies. They spent the entire primaries talking shit about us, telling us to sit the fuck down, and red baiting us. Actively red baiting the fuck out of us. In the hopes of cowing us into submission or scaring us away from left-wing politics or any combination of the above. They are not our allies. And they think that there's some kind of master political class, even though they've lost hundreds of seats at all levels of government, both under Obama and earlier in the 90s under Clinton. They'll sit there with a straight face and say, oh, the Green Party are losers. They're losers. Well, if losing 1,000 seats under Obama is winning, then I'd hate to see what you consider a loser. They don't like hearing that shit. Ooh, no. It's the reason why these people lost their shit when Bernie Sanders stood up in front of a crowd in Louisiana and talked about how the Democrats lost over 1,000 seats as a criticism of the party's handling. I tell you, these people. They'll try every angle they can, and they don't care. They really don't care about the truth. They don't care about all the things that have happened. They don't care if we've lost repeatedly while going down the centrist path. They don't care about. I don't think they really care about beating Trump as much as they care about beating us. I mean, hell, Cherry Busta, the DCCC chair, has made it her mission in life to defeat the progressive movement within the Democratic Party. We can't just sit back and pretend like these people are our allies. They aren't. They don't care. They don't see us as being on the same side as them. They don't even see us as junior partners because even a junior partner will get a few concessions here and there. Look at that shit that Joe Biden's doing. The fucker hasn't given a shit. He hasn't tried to do a damn thing to increase voter enthusiasm among the youth. He hasn't. He needs to lose, regardless of the cost. Joe Biden just needs to lose this next election, no matter how horrible a second Trump term is. Joe Biden needs to lose, or the DNC, they're just going to have positive reinforcement because they'll know that we're going to show up from now on anyway. And to those people who say, "Oh well, if Biden wins without progressives, then it'll be just as dangerous." Yeah, and it'll prove that they don't need us, and that means we can actually sit off on our own. There are two sides to that fucking coin. Just, I don't know about these people, man. I mean, they'll weaponize identity politics to attack the left. They're fine. It's like, I don't know. It's like they'll allow certain things to the Me Too movement to be weaponized to attack people like Al Franken, Sinkwager, and Bernie Sanders. But then they'll turn around and make all kinds of excuses for Joe Biden and William Clinton. They'll go 3 continents in a mile defending them. Politics really is just a fucking sport to them. They have no stakes in it. Most of these older folks who vote this way, they have too much money to care. They're not our allies. They don't give a shit about us. You can't make they can't make the case that, oh, well, if you stay home or if you form a third party, it'll divide the left. How's it going to divide the left when you fuckers aren't even on the left to begin with? How the fuck's it going to divide the left if these motherfuckers are not on the left to begin with? It's like it's like that one story from the Bible where Satan takes Jesus up on top of a mountain and says, "I will give you all of this as far as the eye can see if you will bow down to me." And Jesus turns around and but Satan's making this he's making a promise for something he can't even give because it doesn't belong to him. It's like the DNC and their surrogates and all these older centrist voters are basically pulling the same shit. They're giving us they're essentially telling us something will happen that they never had any intention of. It just, they're basing everything on the false premise that, one, that we're Democrats, which many of us aren't, especially after 2016, and 2, that they ever had any intention of letting us have a say, which they don't. Dim exit, man. Dim exit. Leave the Democratic Party, form a new party. It's the only fucking way we're ever going to have the kinds of... Yeah, you can tell I really haven't gotten a lot of sleep because I just crawl out of bed. Look at this fucking messy ass here. I mean, you can... It's the only way we're ever going to have proper representation if we just go ahead, take a page out of the Populist Party and the Socialist Party's playbook and just form ourselves, or build an existing third party. Just build a new fucking major party. We don't have to put up with this, and we don't have to put up with all these naysayers and vote shaming fucks who sit around telling us that, oh, you're responsible, you're evil people if you do this. You don't own our fucking vote. They act as if they're entitled to votes they never had any intention of earning to begin with. I don't give a flying fuck how much damage Trump does. Okay, yeah, that's right. Like Kyle Clancy, I'm going to say it out loud. I don't give a shit anymore. Because I realize that the Democrats, that the centrist wing of the Democratic Party, they're going to do half the shit that Trump intends to do eventually anyway. These fuckers had no problem using the Democratic primary of holding people's lives hostage by threatening to penalize states of their delegates if they tried to postpone their primaries until after it's safer to have them. They don't care about our lives any more than Trump does. And hell, even Joe Biden basically came out and said, "Oh, I think it's safe to vote. I think it's safe to vote," until somebody finally took the fucker aside and told him to change his fucking tune. They don't care. They don't care. I don't want to hear any of this lesser of two evils nonsense when the leadership of the Democratic Party have basically proven that they don't give a shit about the lives of other people any more than the GOP. You can't sit there with a straight face and tell me that. And to those people who think that somehow I'm in dereliction of duty or whatever if I don't vote for Biden. Fuck you. I'm not a Democrat. I am not a fucking Democrat. I'm not part of your decadent party, and neither are the majority of Americans. You don't go into a fucking election under under the false premise that you somehow own everyone else's vote. You don't go into the election with under the premise that you can vote shame us when you never had any intention of doing anything for us. You don't own me. I'm not your slave. I'm not your serf. I'm not. I'm this whole the peasants are revolting attitude among centrist leaders. This shit. We're never coming back after this. You fuckers, you don't seem to understand that this primary was your last chance. Was your last chance to save the party from dying out. You failed that test. It's over. The Democrats will never get elected for another 100 years, and if they do, it'll only be because Donald Trump is so fucking bad that Biden was able to skirt by on the skin of his teeth. And even then, Donald Trump will be Joe Biden will be in an even weaker position. Freudian slip. I mean, they're largely the same fucking person at this point anyway. He'll be in a far weaker position than Obama or Clinton were in 92 or 2008. So, yeah, I'm just like, you fuckers have nothing left to threaten us with. Nothing. The party's over. People have been warning these fuckers for years that we were going to reach this point. Hell, I was saying this 2 years ago. I was saying that there would come a day when the Democratic Party's leadership would have to make a choice between their donors and their voters. That is the future of their party. Because all these older people who actually voted, they're not going to be around for another 10 or 15 years. They're not the future. They're going to be gone. This election was their last chance to save themselves from the dustbin of history. It may not happen this election, but it will happen. There's only so much disdain that the two parties can have for the lives of their voters before eventually things just fall apart. No amount of authoritarianism, misinformation, gaslighting, vote shaming, and just poisoning the well and out propaganda and internal primary coups by the Washington Democrats and by Republicans trying to keep non-Trump Republicans from being able to run against Trump. Yeah, you saw that where Bill Weld was taken off the ballot in several states to protect Donald Trump from being from Republican descent. No amount of this shit is going to save these people. That entire political class are fucking poison. They need to die. They need to go into the dustbin of history. And the parties themselves need to collapse. Alright, I've said my piece. I need to stop doing these videos just impromptu like this. Alright, I'm out.